Let's bring in our correspondents now. Resul Serdar is standing by for us in the Iranian capital, Tehran. But first, we're going to go to Osama bin Javaid in Burgenstock in Switzerland, where talks were due to get underway on Friday. Obviously, there's been a lot of diplomatic manoeuvring behind the scenes. Can you just bring us up to date with the very latest on where these talks are at right now?
Well, Tom, we are here on the mountaintop resort of Burgenstock, where we can confirm that the Qatari Prime Minister is holding meetings. This is because the Qatari Prime Minister has been here for the last 24 hours. He's met the Swiss Foreign Minister as well. And what we cannot confirm is a witness account where one witness told Al Jazeera that Jared Kushner has been spotted at the same resort. What we cannot confirm as well are those US media reports about Steve Witkoff making his way to Switzerland. But what we can tell you about is diplomacy that is taking place in the Middle East. You've got the Pakistani Interior Minister in Tehran talking to Iranian officials, and you've got the Pakistani Foreign Minister who is in Cairo meeting his counterparts from Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Egypt. There's going to be bilateral meetings there as well. So it appears there's a lot of behind the scenes back and forth that is going on between these officials. And this is because the memorandum of understanding, it is a 14-point document, but the first point there is still waiting to be implemented. As you've been seeing the violence take place in Lebanon, that is why the Iranians are still hesitant to commit to who, if anyone from them, is going to attend, because this is no longer a signing ceremony. It's where official talks between their delegates can resume or even begin.
OK, we're going to bring in Resul Serdar, who is in Tehran for us. And as we heard there, Pakistan's Interior Minister is in the capital today. Can you just run us through exactly how important his visit is and who he's going to be speaking with?
Well, indeed. So Pakistan's Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi now is in Iran, and he's scheduled to meet high-ranking Iranian officials, including the Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Abbas Araghchi, who was expected to be in Switzerland, but now, so we know that the Iranian delegation is not there. There are plans, however, we do not know when they will be there. What Iranians are insisting, they're saying that first implementation of the memorandum of understanding. So Naqvi has been here several times, and whenever he was here, we see a pattern. When the things are stuck, and he fly to Tehran, and he bring lots of force in Tehran, and each time we see almost a breakthrough. So now we do not know whether there's going to be a breakthrough or not. However, he is a heavyweight when it comes to the negotiations, when it comes to contribution, paving way for the memorandum of understanding, because he's fully authorized by the Pakistani government, by the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, and he's a close ally of Pakistan's Field Marshal Asim Munir, who is a strong man of Pakistan. That's why his presence here is quite important. His meetings are going to be closely followed. As I said, he has been the man that has tremendously contributed to the process paving the way for the memorandum of understanding. His presence here shows us two things: that first, the things are not moving as it was desired, and second, that it requires an interference from the Pakistani side.
OK, I want to bring Osama bin Javaid back in. Given the issue, the ongoing hurdle that this fighting in southern Lebanon has thrown up, is it possible at this point in time to make any kind of guess when formal talks could actually begin?
Well, I think it will be premature to guess any date on that because of what you just heard from Resul. The presence of Pakistani mediators actually indicates that the Iranians are not budging, especially on what has been agreed upon on the documents that were signed by the presidents of the United States and Iran. And it is going to be crucial to move forward on the Lebanese front, because that has been the red line that the Iranians have refused to accommodate at all. And you're seeing how Israel has been insisting that it is going to continue its attacks, it's going to continue to occupy Lebanese territory, and that is where we are. But what we do understand is that there's a lot of push from the media mediators to try and bring these sides back to the negotiating table. One source told me that if you go back a few days, this was going to be a signing ceremony, but the US president then signed it remotely, and then he said he could come as well. That also created some concern that he could turn up. And then there was the issue of how do we start implementing this? And then in the last 48 hours, you've seen some movement on that. The US has lifted its blockade and its sanctions on various Iranian ports. There's been movement out of the Strait of Hormuz. There are some relaxations that the Iranians are willing to give as well. But essentially, unless the first point in the memorandum of understanding respecting the territorial integrity and sovereignty of all states, including Lebanon, comes into effect, it is very difficult to say if these talks on delegate level, on higher level, could even begin.
Okay, thank you so much as always, Osama. Osama bin Javaid for us there in Burgenstock, Switzerland. We're going to bring back in Resul Serdar. Iran has been very clear that they will only attend talks when certain conditions are met. So how much of the delay to them beginning is down to Iran holding off to see the issue of Lebanon dealt with, and how happy are they to continue to play this waiting game?
Well, they're not happy at all playing the waiting game. However, they know that there is a lot at stake. So simply the foreign minister spokesperson, Ismail Bakai, is saying that the start of the talks for a final agreement very much depends on the initiation of the implementation of the articles of the memorandum of understanding, particularly Article 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11. So meaning the cessation of hostilities permanently and immediately at all fronts, including Lebanon, and now still Israel is bombing Lebanon, and then the maritime blockade of the United States to be lifted, that is largely still in place, and then the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and then lifting of the sanctions, American sanctions on Iran's oil sector and petrochemical products, and of course allowing Iran to have full access to its frozen assets. And they're saying, well, these processes have not been initiated yet. That's why they are going to wait. So here, one of the key words is the mistrust between the two parties. In 2015, both sides have signed JCPOA. It was a comprehensive deal, and Iran committed a lot to that. Then 3 years later, in 2018, so the United States unilaterally withdrew from that deal. And then last June, there were 5 rounds of the talks, and everything according to the statements was going well. Then Americans and Israelis started to bomb Iran. And then in last February, so 3 rounds of talks, diplomatic talks, there were positive messages being sent out by both parties. Then Americans and Israelis started to bomb Iran again. So all these bitter memories are there, and Iranians are saying they have time, not because Iran is not heard. Indeed, politically, economically, and internationally, Iran is under a huge pressure, but they say, well, this time they want to make sure that Americans are committed to the deal and they're honoring the signature that they have given.
Okay, thank you so much as always, Resul Serdar for us there in Tehran.